Hey, what's up, party people? Oh, wow. Hi there. Is that loud? Do I sound all right? I'm not used to this. I'm a very much behind the camera microphone type of person. Hi, my name is Steven Shea. I am not Jack Conway. He is trapped in an Uber hell right now, trying to get here. He'll be here shortly. But I'm going to try to help moderate this for the moment. Thank you all for coming out. This panel is for Isla Monstro. If you think this is Hall H and the Marvel panel, you are in the incorrect place. But thank you all very much for coming out. This film is an independent animated feature that was stemmed from the pandemic. And we have a bunch of the cast and crew here that we're going to chat with you all about it. So again, my name is Steven Shea. I am the director, animator, co-writer, colored it, edited it, and did a lot of other elements as well. And I'd like to bring out some of our, thank you, awesome cast and crew that luckily our moderator had notes that he sent me. So, first I'd like to welcome to the stage comedian, writer, and actor James Schrader. You'll probably recognize best from his commercials for Dr. Squatch Soap, including the biggest ad at the 2021 Super Bowl. That's football, right? I don't do sports. I don't know I follow the yo-yoing world championships, so it's a little different. Next, I would love to invite actress Juliana Harkavy, who is best known as Dina Drake, aka the Black Canary on Arrow, The Flash, and Legends of Tomorrow, as well as Alicia from season 4 of The Walking Dead. But my personal favorite is Last Shift. Has anybody seen Last Shift here? Yeah, there we go. Yeah,
She is.
I have a little bit of a, yeah, I may have not have worked on that one. So, okay. Next, I'm looking at what order we put the cards in. Next, I'd love to invite out actor Andre Gower. He played America's true hero, Sean, from the Monster Squad. Also directed and wrote the incredible documentary Wolfman's Got Nards. If you haven't seen it, it's fantastic if you're a fan of fandom and the Monster Squad especially. Next, I'd like to bring out actress and musician Gigi Edgley, who we saw recently in Ryan Murphy's feud Capote versus the Swans, and is best known as Chiana from the long-running Jim Henson Studio sci-fi series Farscape. She has an incredible performance in this movie that will be sure to ring throughout the annals of history. I would like to bring out actor Matt Zunich. Well, Matt Zunich is fairly new to the voiceover scene. He's had years of experience in animation and also happened to star in one of our animated shorts, Ghostbusters Reanimated. And I'm also going to bring out actor, comedian Atif Myers. Stand-up comedian extraordinaire, writer of comics, as well as the recent film Twice Bitten. And last but probably the busiest person on this entire film, definitely not least, is Rob Reider, who is our composer, sound engineer. We have done a lot of incredible productions together for the past 20 years with the two of us and this awesome crew. All right, and now the notes are over, so thank you all for coming. I'm going to sit down now, if I can get my shirt. Hi. This is nice.
Steven Shea, everybody.
Hey, what's happening? All right.
Writer, director, animator.
Let's before we show something special, let's just go down the line real quick and everybody say what exactly they did on this movie.
Okay. 2 years ago, Steven called me. I've known Steven since high school. We lived together in college, and he's caused both of my divorces.
It is true.
True story. Yeah. Sort of, but factual. So Steven calls me. He's like, hey, I got this really fun idea about a drunk loser that takes advantage of everyone he knows, and I want you to help me write a feature about it. There's also a bunch of, mutants. And I was like, you had me at drunk. Let's go crazy. So We locked ourselves in my office for about 3 days, wrote this, and then over the next 2 years, Steven would give me updates like, hey, we're making this. Hey, I got this person involved. I got that person involved. And I'm like, these aren't real things. We're two kids from Key Largo that don't do things like this. And he did it, and I'm thrilled to be here, and I'm thrilled that Steven made me a part of it, and I'm thrilled that you guys are all here pretending you care, and it means a lot.
That he's thrilled.
So thank you. That's what I did.
That
And I'm
wasn't the
the voice of Duke. I'm the voice
Yeah,
of Duke.
that was the answer. I'm the voice
sorry.
of Duke.
Oh, it
A
wasn't.
really long answer.
I don't know how this works.
We're doing great, guys. This is great. Go team.
Hi, I'm Juliana Harkavy. I play Diana Dreg, which is Steven, did you intentionally make the name Diana Dreg like Diana Drake?
No, absolutely not.
That's incredible.
It was actually really ironic that worked out that way.
Wow. Well, learn new things every day. So I worked with Steven in 2016 on the horror film Last Shift. And he called me up and just said, there's this role in this animated film. I've been dying to do voiceover work, and it worked out. I thought you wrote it for me based on the name, but I guess you didn't. Yeah, so it was pretty simple.
I've never seen Arrow. I'm just kidding.
And it turned out to be one of the most fun projects I've done, and I really fell in love with the medium of voice work, and I'm so excited for you guys to see it because it's a really, really fun film.
Andre.
Oh, that's me. I'm Andre Gower. Some people in this room know me from a movie a long time ago, The Monster Squad. Oh, and there you go, yeah. It's great to be back at Comic-Con, which is always fun. And I think someone either giggled or said yay about Wolfman's Got Nards, the documentary. So that was it a giggle or was it it was good? Oh, it was a giggle. So you haven't seen it. So you haven't seen it, or you have seen it. Oh, great. It was a good giggle. It was a good giggle.
It's a wonderful doc if you haven't seen it.
But I guess, Steven, we've known each other for a few years through mutual friends and events, and always interested in working with fun people. That's why we all do this, right? Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I think it's the same. He calls us up and goes, "Hey, I'm doing this animated movie that we wrote during lockdown, and would you come in and do a role?" And like Juliana, you were saying, it's like voiceover work's really fun, and some people think it's easy, and it's not quite as easy as you think it is. But it is fun. And so we just kind of went in, and I didn't know what it was, and he said, "No, you're going to be Agent Chesnick, and he's the Secret Service agent that's protecting the president. So here's the story, and you don't really get it all." And then now I realize that playing the Secret Service agent right now is like the most important character in the world. So I feel a little bit more, kind of prevalent right now in this funny role. Just as long as you don't animate a sloped roof or anything. But the little bits that you get to see are super funny, even on the page before you see something realized in animation, because it's not there yet, and that's what's kind of revealing and very interesting. And there's some really funny stuff in here, thanks to these two guys and everybody else that voiced the characters, because they bring it to life. Doesn't matter what it looks like on the page; it takes all these people to bring it to life. So it's really fun to be a part of that.
Gigi.
Hi guys, my name is Gigi. I read the script, and I think I agreed after reading the script to sing the love theme. So when the mutants are getting it on, I sort of serenade them.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Oops.
Spoiler alert.
What
Very
happened?
graphic.
Then after I agreed, then I read the lyrics, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can say these words. It's so naughty and very randy and very raunchy, and so you can imagine what the recording process was like. So I'm honored to be a part of it. I watched it a couple of days ago, and I've been quietly fangirling out, meeting all the characters in person. So you're gonna love it. It's gonna blow you away. Thank you so much for having me. And Steven said if I'm a really good girl, one day he might turn me into a mutant too.
It's gonna happen.
I mean, being turned into a mutant, I mean, that's the dream right there, right? Hi, everybody. I'm Matt. like as Steven said, I'm still relatively new to the voiceover scene, but I started a couple years ago, and Steven and I actually met each other through charity and nonprofit work through the Los Angeles Ghostbusters. I don't know if anyone knows who they are. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, we got a couple of out-of-uniform busters up at the front. But yeah, we were raising money for the Starlight Children's Foundation, and I knew he was a producer, a writer, director, and he knew that I was getting into voice acting, taking voice lessons, and getting some fundamental training. And he said, "Do you want to do a little Ghostbusters thing with me?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And it was a lot of fun. And then he said, "Now, do you want to do a feature?" And I said, "Yes. Where do I sign?" And then I read the script, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is gonna be so great." It's the perfect level of just gross out humor, and it's such a blast. And I was so excited to do it, and I got to test my home built recording room on the feature, and I was so glad that it worked well, and it's been an absolute blast being here. And I also got to write, I don't know if some of you went to the booth, you maybe picked up one of our comic books, and I wrote one of the stories in there. Thank you. Yeah, it was such a blast being a part of this, and I feel so humbled and excited to be here with all of you and to share this really funny, gross movie with you.
Gross.
Yeah. What? In the best way possible. I mean that with love.
Hey guys, I'm Atif Myers. I'm a stand-up comedian and writer. I wrote the movie Twice Bitten for BET. None of you have seen it because most of you are white. Let's just be honest. Steven came up to me and he's like, "Hey, I have this character. I think you'd be perfect for it. He's a scumbag. You'd be great. Can you just do the voice?" Because I've known him for years. So I was like, "Yeah, okay." And yeah, he's a piece of shit. And it was easy to get there, actually. It was great. Yeah, but yeah, I had a lot of fun. It's a very funny script, and just very grateful to be here. But yeah, he's a scumbag, so.
So I just want to outline, it does say here, please be aware that many members of
kept
your
the
audience
PG-13.
may be under 18.
I kept the PG-13.
My name's Rob Reider. I am the composer, sound designer, occasional voiceover artist, occasional voiceover engineer for Isla Monstro.
Woo!
Oh, why, thank you. Steven came to me 25 years ago, had no idea he was going to make this movie, but said, "Hey man, I want you to do every single thing that I do." And so we've been working together for a really long time. He comes to me and he says, "I want you to read this script." I read it, I thought it was amazing. I said, "We got to make this movie." He said, "I'm going to do it with like 12 people." So he did, over pandemic and learning animation. That's what you see here before you. So I'd like to thank you for coming out. Yeah. That's all I got.
Wow.
Hey. We did it, buddy.
We did it. There we go. So what we would like to do today, yeah, if anyone visited the booth and checked out, we have a booth down at 1901 that's a cool tiki hut down there. But what we'd like to do before we start talking about this movie is show you the very first time ever a trailer with some of the footage and some of the character reveals. We just announced our cast and everything this past Wednesday. This is our big launch pad and jumping off point here at San Diego Comic-Con. But yeah, you guys want to see some footage from this weird thing? All right, let's roll that trailer, please, sir.
Exclusive.
Roll that beautiful beam.
Well, what the hell was that?
That's what you were doing with our voices?
So yay. Let me give you a little insight into Isla Monstro. Isla Monstro is all about, as you saw in the trailer, a middle-aged idiot that drunkenly falls off of a cruise ship and wakes up on an abandoned island that he soon discovers is overrun with mutants from a failed 1980s DARPA super soldier experiment that have been left there for 40 years from the American government. And he gets the crazy idea to turn the island into a 4-star luxury resort using the mutants as its staff, which goes viral on TikTok and alerts the U.S. government that this island still exists and causes an HR nightmare.
Real simple.
Pretty standard storyline.
In a nutshell.
Hero's journey. But this project came about during the pandemic. I don't know if you guys were part of that. Anybody have a pandemic here? Yeah? No? No pandemics?
I
Okay.
think I might have one.
You had one? So long story short, we went on lockdown during the pandemic, and we're in the film business, which literally closed overnight. And it was just kind of like, all right, we're not going to do anything for the next few months. So I decided, I've had a multimedia company called Abyssmal Entertainment that's been around for 22 years now. And we basically decided, well, what's a good way to produce content from home without anybody having to interact? And animation was the next step. And so I was like, well, I'm just going to learn animation on YouTube because I'm stuck at home right now. And so I taught myself animation through YouTube and started developing some animated projects. And we pitched a bunch of animated series, but I'd never done animation. So the studios were like, well, you've never done animation. How can we hire you to do animation? And I'm like, well, I'm going to go do animation then. And so then this turned into like a weekend project that was all of a sudden like started spiraling out of proportion. And we had a whole bunch of name actors involved and got some of these incredible people. And then spent about a year and a half, a year animating and 6 months of post sound and music, and then now we have a movie.
Yeah.
So stay in school.
You can learn anything on YouTube.
Yes.
I planted a tomato plant during COVID, and I felt accomplished. So
Yes.
thanks,
Pretty
Steven.
impressive.
I think I woke up, got out of bed before 8 a.m. once. It was an accomplishment.
That's crazy.
Ugh, pandemic, man.
Yeah. So now I'm out of things to talk about. That's the movie.
That's
Oh, hey, look here, everybody! Jack Conway's in the
our
house.
moderator.
Thank God, Jack, you're here because I'm terrible. at
Moderately
this.
late.
Here the whole
Moderate.
time. What are you guys talking about?
Thank you for taking those photos for me in the back.
Jack,
of your cell
you
phone,
look
Jack. I appreciate
beautiful.
that.
Steven,
look
would you
beautiful.
say that in independent filmmaking, sometimes people let you down? It's hard to work with people that show up late, stuff like that.
No, I've never heard of that.
Is that your experience? Would you say sometimes people?
You look great.
Hi, everyone. Everyone looks amazing. Sorry I'm late.
Who are you?
Hi, everybody.
Jack Conway, everybody.
Woo! I'm not important. You've already met all these people. They're the important ones. All right, what'd I miss? What's the good stuff?
We showed the trailer. You
You
missed
did
it.
show the trailer.
Yeah, we showed it.
Fantastic. I got to see the whole movie.
Oh, that's true. You did
Really
see
good.
it.
Humble
We
brag.
went through our introductions. We just talked about how it came to be,
Wonderful.
and now I'm out of ideas. What else are we doing, Jack?
Well, that's why you hired me for free and why I showed up late.
You're getting a nice fruit basket.
My big question for this, when I tell people who Steven Shea is, I explain that he's someone who can't stop making movies, and that during, I don't know, silly things like pandemic, as you were discussing, he just couldn't sit still. He had to make things, and he wanted to make animated features, and people kept telling him that's too hard and you can't do that, so he just taught himself animation, like you do. Not like I do, I would never do that, but Steven's a crazy person, and he had a vision and he wanted it to happen, and then he just started reaching out. I think throughout that entire process, when he would show us scenes of like who he had, it'd be like, how did you get them? And the answer was usually, I asked.
We paid the money. Not very much money, but very little money.
Don't give away our
Wait,
secrets.
you got paid?
Oh, this is gonna get rough. So when you pitched the concept, Steven, did you all get the full scripts for the film? Did you get the whole thing of every piece, like not only your parts, but basically the entire film?
I definitely sent everybody the whole script, though I'm pretty sure 94% of the cast didn't read the script.
Yeah, I wasn't quizzing you on that. No,
I read it and forgot it.
no.
I think you were happy that I could read. He was like, oh, damn, he could read? Okay.
Stephen, you told me the other night too, which I forgot to mention, is that you knew me from Farscape, but it was actually you saw me perform at San Diego Comic Con. So it's all because of you guys that I'm in here. So thank you to you guys. Oh, she can sing. Yeah, I'll book her.
Yeah.
Now, to speak to that, without spoiling anything, can we go into Gigi's, what she did for the film, the amazing thing that she added to the film?
Yes.
I'm making it sound worse than it is. So
We kind of talked about it.
the film has a love song. Now, you might see that and think, a love song, huh? Yeah, it's weird. That's all I gotta say. It's fantastic. So, in the process of that, what kind of background did you receive as to what the point and the focus of this love song would be between two titular characters?
Well, I've got the biggest crush on James Masters. I've always just think he's the absolute best, because when we were filming Farscape, I'd come home and I was living with 5 roommates in a 3-bedroom house, and they'd prop me up because I'd be so sleepy on 3 hours sleep because the schedules were so intense to watch Buffy, because it was all at the same time, and Angel and everything. So now it's trippy to me that years later I get to talk. I'm not allowed, I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, but I get to talk about all his naughty bits and pieces, and I get to serenade him while he's screwing a mutant.
It's a beautiful 80s love ballad that we wrote. Very beautiful.
For a little background, it's Spencer Grammer and James Marsters. James Marsters plays our creature from the Black Lagoon type person, and Spencer plays the octopus squid-looking creature. So you can imagine the sound design for that was quite.
She's a jellyfish.
And he asked me to turn it down quite a bit because his mom got a little squeamish.
I will say one of the incredible things about this is every single one of our actors threw 100% into these roles, and especially playing weird mutants with weird sounds and tentacles and all kinds of strange things. It was absolutely incredible to be able to have a cast that literally did not hold back. I mean, yeah, poor Gigi in the recording studio. I don't know what the engineers outside were thinking we were doing in there.
Yes.
But
And it's not like a glimpse. Okay, we're not showing. It's not a moment of passionate love. It's the full
Song.
Bang.
the
There are
full
other moments.
Song. The
This
full
is-
aria.
this whole panel's turning into the love.
I know.
the love-
That's something else.
There's a lot more to this movie.
They're
than
here to
this
see
3.5
mutants do
minute-
it.
This three
We
and a half
know
minute
that.
long love scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I s-
Anyway.
Yeah, it'll change you.
They all
Gigi
think
did
we're
an
perverts
amazing
now.
job, and she really took it there, and so did the actors in the scene. When you guys see it, you'll see it's quite a moment. So we can move on.
Next question.
It is the moment people will walk away talking about. Also, if any fanfic artists out there, Chiana is at home crushing on Spike. I just want to put that out there. That is a thing that happened.
Oh, so hard,
Visual.
so hard.
Really good visual.
Make it happen.
Let's do it.
But let's speak about the music, actually, Rob. I've gotten to work with you before, and you're an amazingly talented person. You did, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's 86 minutes of music for this?
Yeah, we did a bit more music that wasn't in the movie too. My orchestrator, Jonathan Bartz, complete genius, helped me out with some of the really big orchestral moments. He works with some guys you may have heard of, John Williams, Alan Silvestri, you know. Those are pretty much like his day job guys that he works with. So he hit me up and he's like, I want to help you. And I'm like, oh my God, I have this movie. And so like I wrote a ton of soca music, you know. Steven came to me and he's like, oh, I want a soca soundtrack. And I'm like, oh, soca, this is great. Like, I actually did, I used to do production sound too, and I did a movie in South America, in Guyana. We were the first narrative feature to be shot there that wasn't, you know, the first thing that wasn't National Geographic, essentially. And we went down there and, like, partied the whole time listening to soca music. And so, like, you know, I pretty much was like, oh, man, I'm totally geared up for this. Let's do it. And then this love theme was just, like, insane. Like, Steven and I, you know, it took a couple weeks to write it. Once Gigi agreed, you know, we got in the booth and she just took it to a whole nother level.
Back to the love theme.
So we've got everything. We've got, you know, our fun party music. We got our big orchestral music. We got some nods to different films, a little bit of like Lost World, you know, nod here and there, and you know, and lots of Weekend at Bernie's too, you know.
Definitely. That was
Weekend
the
at
big- that was the
Bernie's,
big
you
thing.
know, that was a big one. Club Paradise. Another movie you may have heard of, Weekend at Bernie's 2. Weekend at Bernie's 2 was also good.
It's a fantastic.
Weekend at Bernie's 2. So that's all I got. That's pretty much everything.
That'll be the rest of the panel. We'll be
And
discussing Weekend at Bernie's 2. No, we're not gonna-
I have questions about that one.
no. I'm here now. I'm taking over. No, none of those. One more thing I want to talk about music. And again, I'm not going to give away the sauce on this one, but I know that there may be some independent filmmakers here as well, inspired by what you've done. And this is one of the first questions I asked you, is that you end this with a bang. There is a licensed song that is very well known, that has a really big ending.
I need a
And one-
hero.
And I see, it's a
Spoiler
Everyone's going
alert.
to spoil it.
Spoiled
So
the
it's
whole
very
movie.
vague. You didn't hear that. You didn't
We
hear
were gonna have the
But
record for
it's
sale.
a powerful ending that really packs a punch. And so I reached out to you and I just said, how the heck did you do that as far as rights and such? And it's essentially a cover, correct?
Yes. Yeah, we got a band that I've worked with many times called the Dolly Rots. That's out of Los Angeles that are awesome. And that song, it's Holding Out for a Hero is my favorite 80s song ever. And this whole movie's like stuck in the 80s kind of. And I knew I really, really, really wanted that song. And so I brought on a music supervisor who actually has worked with some other independent filmmakers I know named Annette Cologne. And she helped us get the rights from Sony to be able to use the cover rights. And doing cover rights are easier, a little bit easier, and a little bit cheaper than doing full master rights. So we were able to get it, and it's definitely a little expensive, but I think it helps the movie out a lot.
Just real quick, I want to give a shout out to Vanilla, our artist that we got
yes,
2
please.
soca tracks. I worked with her. She was our production manager in Guyana. She turns out she's a phenomenal soca artist. Vanilla, if you guys check her out, she's got just amazing, upbeat, positive music. It's really great.
Do we have any Ahsoka fans out here?
Well, yeah,
Not
hell yeah.
Ahsoka from the Star Wars, but Ahsoka. Like, I'm an Antiguan Ahsoka guy myself. I don't know which
bit.
Ahsoka you're more a fan of.
A little bit. Yeah, I think
Type
it's
of
a
music.
little more talk about. Let's move on. All right. So, folks here, if you don't mind, on the panel, show of hands, who was this your first time recording for animation? I wasn't actually. But first time. You have to think. I love this is how good the cast is that they're like, maybe. I've been in everything. Maybe. I'm not sure. And I just kind of wanted to touch on that as obviously differences in performances between giving the character via only voice and then, you know, obviously being on camera. So does anyone have any, you know, stories or anything that they wanted to share about recording for animation that was helpful in this or that really threw you off in this particular script?
Well, as the person who's probably, I think, probably the more freshman of the cast up here, this was my first thing was doing Ghostbusters Reanimated with Steven, and that was a really fun short, and I learned a lot about doing voice for animation in that I was doing it wrong and I needed to be better. And that's when I really started seeking out voice lessons to really learn how to control the voice, like really like kind of sit on the breath and not sit in my throat the way that I had been kind of, because I, you know, fool around with voices. I'll like walk around the house just doing Yoda and like Obi-Wan Kenobi, Obi-Wan. That's, and I was just, I realized that I was like constricting my throat so much more than I really should be. And so learning fundamentals of just controlling my voice and taking opera and bel canto training really helped me, that when he came and said like, hey, I have this movie that I think you'd be a good fit for, I was like, perfect, because I've been doing some training and I think I'm ready. I'm also really scared. So, but it turned out really, really great. And over the course of the pandemic, while Steven was writing this, I had also built a voiceover recording booth in my downstairs closet underneath my stairs. And I've worked in animation for years at, you know, DreamWorks and Netflix and Warner Brothers, and so I know what a recording studio should look like. But then when it came to building it, I had no clue. So I did a ton of research, got some good microphones and a good, very simple interface. And Steven was like, do you think we could use your recording studio? And I was like, sure. And we did. My role, and then I believe Michael Indy John's role was recorded entirely in my studio, and I was so nervous that the audio quality wouldn't measure up. I was like, oh God, I just hope that it's as good as everyone else's who recorded in these big fancy studios. And after having watched the movie, which by the way, it is really friggin' funny and really, really fun. Honestly, I could not tell the difference in the audio quality. I thought it sounded absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it sounded great.
Yeah.
Great job.
I was blown away by it.
So if anyone would like to rent his voiceover booth in the closet under the stairs, it is available.
It is available.
10% off coupon.
Yeah, I just have to move the bed and the refrigerator and the heater and the air conditioner.
But it comes with free waters in the refrigerator. Free water in the
free-
refrigerator.
Well,
Toilet water.
yeah, okay, free water.
Limit one per person.
Yeah, one per person.
Now I have a follow-up about animation as well, for everyone on the panel as well, is that when receiving your character, et cetera, and working with Steven, and Steven, was this mostly in person for voice, or was some like over Zoom, et cetera?
Yes. Some were remote, most were in person. We recorded the majority of the cast in Los Angeles. Mostly, we had a few people had their own home studios, like Matt. We also recorded with Dana Snyder, who's on like Aqua Teen Hunger Force, and he's done a million things, but he has his own home studio because that's all he does. But then we recorded some of the cast, like Chris Sabat, who he stars in Dragon Ball Z and My Hero Academia. He has the big Okratron 5000 studio in Dallas, and so he was like, well, I could just record in my studio, and I'm like, that's fantastic, sure, that'd be great. And you Zoom direct for some of those. And actually, what's really interesting is we recorded the majority of the cast in 2 studios in the Valley, in LA, and one was Dave and Dave, where they record a lot of Crunchyroll stuff for anime, so we'd have like animes recording next to us, and the other one we recorded was at Skybound Animation, and we actually got to help them put that studio, kind of put it together, and now that's where they record all of Invincible. So we helped test out the Invincible recording studios with this movie.
And to speak to that a little bit too, is I know that famous actors, rarely people come up on the street and go like, I could probably act like you. But I think with voiceover, people don't understand just how hard it can be. It can be like, I think I could do pretty funny voices. But I mean, to your point earlier, is that sometimes you hear yourself and you're like, oh, I need glasses. It's difficult. It's right to get your entire personality across. So we're going to turn this into a roast. How was Steven to work with on that? Did he let you improv? Did he give you good notes? Or were you like, what a nightmare? Your experiences as far as recording your sessions, whether they were in person or via Zoom, do you have any conflicts there or any just good experiences with that? I mean, he's a monster, I know.
I don't know. It's like I've known Steven for so long, like since we were 16 years old, and we lived together. Like I don't know if he was much more comfortable with me, but there'd be so many times like, yeah, not that. Do it again, but not what you just did, but different. And it was productive. It was good. It was positive.
No, I would say that to John DiMaggio.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah.
No, not like that, John DiMaggio.
Do it again, but better.
But better. Do it good this time.
Yeah. David Lynch advice, right?
Juliana, did it get rough? It's a safe space.
He was awful.
Yeah. This is what I was here for. This is what I came. He was a monster.
Evidence.
I came from mostly doing theatrical work on camera, and so I think I came in with this very serious mindset. I'm used to having all of the pieces together in the room, playing off of each other's energy, and then all of a sudden you're in this box alone, and it was simultaneously so terrifying and so freeing. And I also had the advantage of having worked with Steven, so I knew I was in a safe space. And I just instantly, all of the seriousness that I came in with, it kind of just evaporates because it's, in a sense, it's very difficult, but also in a sense, it's like, you're just free to be. There's no, you don't have to wait for anyone else's, what are they going to do and I'm going to play off. It's all from within. So I loved it. I love not having to deal with other people.
Acting without makeup. The best.
In a dark room.
I think that has a other side also, which is great because you can go in and riff a line 3-4 different ways, and you're like, yeah, I nailed that. And then this is Steven's, thing, and he goes, yeah. It's not like, oh, I thought I nailed that. I thought that was hilarious. And then even if it's a long speech or just one line, he's putting together a giant thing. You're doing a section, a bit, and you're doing it all together. So he's, as the person directing this and co-writing it and putting it all together, he's got this image, or this vision rather, and you think you have yours, and it probably doesn't fit. And so if you're smart as a performer who is either coming straight from TV or just film or isn't used to that, you got to be open a little bit to you'd be like, oh, okay, I'm okay with not being right. And I thought that was hilarious, and you're not going to use it? And I think there was one time, Steven, just with ours, I did it, and he was like, yeah, I don't think his voice is that low. And I was like, oh, darn. I was like, I had this now my whole thing's completely shot. And I was like, now what do I do? He goes, he's actually, I think you said something like, he's actually dumber than that or something. And I went, oh, I'm cool, but he's not cool. He's dumb. Okay, I got it. Yeah. And so I went the other direction. Hopefully it worked.
It got the performance.
Hopefully it worked for
laughed.
just this one little fun role. But you put a lot of thought into it as you go in, and you want to do well, no matter if you have 50 lines or 5 lines, and you just don't want to be the reason something doesn't work. And so it's fun, though. It's fun.
Let me ask you about that as well, Andre, because obviously, as well as an actor, you're also a writer-director yourself. So working with someone else in that capacity, do you find that easier because you've got a shorthand with another director, or do you think it's more difficult because you have a direction that you think of and they have a direction they think of?
Without getting all actory.
No, please.
Which I'm totally not.
This is the time. Yeah, please.
But I think it's interesting because it ties into something else. Coming from, and I don't know everybody's personal, I started when I was very, very young. And I sort of have, everything from your initial impressions or conditioning from this industry from a kid's perspective. And then when you go and work with kids, it's completely different. Like, oh, these kids suck. That's terrible. And you shouldn't think that way. But kids are mimics. Mm-hmm. And most kid actors, when they're really, really low, unless they are really that top 0.5% of just performers that are off this planet, if you're trying to get kids to do something, like, show them, like, explain, like, don't use big words, don't use, they don't understand you. Do it how you want, and they'll mimic you in their own fashion, and you'll usually get what you want. So if anybody's out there, filmmaker or content man working with kids, don't overdo it. Like, kids are mimics, and then they grow up and they understand that a little bit, and they can do it on their own. I think this sort of ties into that with something, but if anybody's directed anything or worked with, like, directors don't want to give you line reads. They don't want to, and I'm like, it's okay. Like, explain what you're looking for, and then we'll get there together, or I'll try to fumble through it and get there. But people are really kind of apprehensive about, no, I want it like this. And so you kind of balance that a little bit. And like, again, like, you think, oh, I nailed it. And you're like, oh, I didn't nail it?
You're like, well, if this was
Like-
my movie, that would have been the thing.
Like, oh, that killed in the car on the way over here. And, but I think that just goes if you're comfortable with the person. Like, there's been time where you do VO or animation and you step in a room and you've never met the person before. So that's totally different, right? You're like, I'm just here, I'm a hired gun, yada, 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 and you're out. You're like, see you later.
Yep.
But this is different. Like, when you know the person and you're trying to, you're like, that's a whole other experience, I think.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just being comfortable enough in that space to also adjust.
Finding the vibe,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
And,
And like I said, again, okay being wrong with what you thought it was supposed
right,
to be.
yeah, because it's what they want. Gigi, I want to go back as well to, again, with recording the song. When, and now I've zero experience with that, so I don't understand if that's a 2-hour process or a 3-day process. I have no idea. Was the song completed when given to you? So you would put down the vocal track. Getting better. I don't do a lot of audio recording for obvious reasons. I was in the movie, they had to cut it all out. It's just that, it's just 20 minutes of that. So with the song itself, was it fully completed and you just laid down a track, see if that works, and then go to the next? What was your process with that?
Yeah, so I actually have you singing it. So you know what? Maybe I should chuck it up on eBay or something like that, because it's great, Steven.
B-side.
That was the worst. The worst element of this movie is having to sing this love theme myself so that Gigi can hear how the song sounds.
I just did it. I said, oh, would you mind
Yes,
just
and
singing,
so I had to
sending me a recording of you singing it?
That's the power.
So I get, the timing, and he's like, okay.
And I am not
Now I have
any way, shape,
blackmail.
or form
Wait a
a
minute.
singer.
Did you really need that, or did you just know it?
Not really.
Yeah.
Oh, I knew it. I knew it.
This is the first time hearing about this.
It doesn't exist. I burned all the hard drives.
I don't believe you.
So there is a scratch track of Steven Shea singing the love theme.
Yeah.
Buried at sea somewhere
Very
in the box.
serious about it too. Very serious.
I'm gonna get it.
It was all done. You knew exactly what you wanted. The guys are an absolute delight to work with. It's some pretty juicy material, so you've got to be in a safe place to really explore and have fun. And it reminded me of the James Bond kind of. It has got a bit of that action to it and stuff. And so it was a very fun process. It only took us a few hours, right?
Yeah,
And
it
we
was- it
came
was
up with
one
all
session.
sorts of noises.
It was under 4 hours.
Yeah.
There was a lot of noises.
There was a lot of noises. Even I think at one point you're like, we don't need that many noises. I
Well-
was like, oh, sorry.
Well, and with the song too, we did a lot of layering. So Gigi would sing, the specific vocals, but then going back and doing layers of oohs and ahs and
Many
little
oohs and ahs.
Lots of oohs and ahs.
Beautiful, beautiful.
But yeah, it was very, very fun. And thank you very much again for having me.
Oh, you crushed it.
Was that, Gigi, as far as the performance, was that sort of your inspiration once you had seen the song and heard it, you decided it was sort of a James Bond? I mean, obviously the music is already there, but as far as your performance?
Yeah, she had to be sexy and husky and smoky and just but legit. Because the very fine line with comedy is you sing it seriously. And that's what makes it so funny,
I love it.
So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
How are we looking? 15? So let's go 5 more, and then we'll do questions from the audience, if that works out okay.
Sure. Yes.
I also wanted to talk about inspirations for the music itself. Obviously, this is a very colorful cast of characters and monsters and weirdos. Does anyone, no wrong answers here, but did anyone bring in sort of inspiration once they realized what their character was? They're like, oh, it's sort of like this that I've done before, or maybe a family member, maybe a character from another film or a book. Did anyone bring anything to that they wanted to talk about? No wrong answers.
Did you pull out Drunken Idiot from anywhere, James?
living with you in college.
Pretty much.
A specific Comic-Con evening, maybe. Or I guess were there similarities, I guess, with any characters that you had like played before that you could kind of find in those characters that you were able to like bring back to this? I don't know if like.
I mean, my guy's like just a more dirtbag version of me. So he's like an OnlyFans model who that's all he's trying to do is just trying to find new places to film. So it was like, oh, let's just be a dirtbag. I don't know, it wasn't hard. I think it might have been too easy for me. I could have used a challenge.
You were your own inspiration.
Yeah, I was like, let me just be me.
Yeah.
I mean, if I may, your character may have been based on a specific celebrity.
No,
does that feel
no,
right? Or
but it's weird when it's like
am I allowed to do that?
it's weird having like the only character that's like kind of looks like you.
It is true.
It's like bald, black, beardy man. It's like, I don't know if I can play that, man. I don't know if
It was serendipitous. It really was not planned. All
Gotta
of these
dig
things
deep.
weren't planned, but
Yeah.
it worked out really well.
Please.
Steven gave me the direction. I don't think I said the name of my character, Luis. He's a hitman sent out by these gangsters in Cuba. Or no, they're out of Miami, but they're Austrian pretending to be Cuban.
Because they've seen Scarface one too many times.
Yeah.
They're like, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
That's the lives they want.
And Steven gave me the direction. He said, well, I really want the Austrian accent, but I also, if you can do this, I would really like it to have that kind of a Spanish-Cuban accent. And as I know from my linguistics training, those two work very well together, and they just mesh beautifully. But I think we landed on something that was much more on the German side of things, you know, that because we really wanted that punch, because I'm coming for Duke's legs, and I will get him for Tony Alabama. Or no, he changes it to Tony Alabama. Yeah.
And then we would just throw Spanish words in there that he would say.
Yeah, like he would just say, "Sí,"
But in a German accent.
Yeah. But my inspirations are, I'm a huge fan of Sam Witwer. Anyone know Sam Witwer? Yeah. He does this incredible voice of Darth Maul in the Clone Wars, and I love that voice that he has, Kenobi. And so that really breathy, deep-throated, like, I will find you. And I had to give him a little bit of a German accent, you know. And then he's going to hunt down Duke and take his legs. So, yeah, it was a blast.
He's here with us.
Very menacing.
With that, we're going to get to questions from the audience in just a moment. Stephen, and I apologize if you covered this in the beginning. I assure you I was here watching from the back. But I want to talk very briefly about the expanded universe of the film. I know that there's other media attached to it as well. And in case someone came in late rudely, do you want to touch on those things that we can look forward to as well?
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of brand marketing, branding, and merchandising, and so we made this film, but also we have a large amount of merchandise as well as a comic book. We'll have a comic book series, and we have a video game app that's being developed right now. It's the first couple levels are already done, and so we're planning on having all this by the time the movie gets out. We don't have a distributor yet or a home. We're literally using this week as our jumping off point, and then we're going to start going after distributors come Monday. So. We also have trading cards, and we've had interest for action figures and tiki mugs, and I love anything you can buy in a Hot Topic, really.
Merchandising.
Well, I mean, even ironically, in the film, there's a gift shop.
There's a gift shop, and we put all the actual
mapped out,
merchandise
yeah.
in the gift shop of the real merchandise, so that was kind of fun, too. Yeah, we have a vinyl soundtrack. We have, I don't know, we have a lot of stuff.
The website has a lot of good merch.
The website has some cool,
Check
yeah.
it out.
There's bathing suits. You can get your Isla Monstro bikinis on the website.
Wow.
I got the male bottoms, but my wife was like, those are pretty short. And I'm like, hey, that's how we do things on the island, you know?
Wear bathing suits tomorrow.
Oh, perfect.
Yes, at the
Beach
booth.
party.
Well, Throw out the merch. And you heard that right, by the way. There's a vinyl soundtrack being released. It is at that level. And if you've talked to any other independent producer and like, yeah, we're going to have action figures and video games, you're like, sure, you will. He will. It's Steven. It'll happen.
Yeah, Steven loves it. There was multiple times when we touched base, and he's like, hey, we're like finishing animating. We're working on this. But I've been working on the vinyl soundtrack. I'm like, what? Shouldn't we have a movie? He's like, no, we need the vinyl soundtrack. And I've been working on the cover art. The cover art's going to be amazing. I was like, but is the movie finished animating? Not exactly, but the cover art is really coming along.
Chad Helsinki did the cover art. It's amazing. It's a Bohemian Rhapsody. It's our mutants.
Yeah, it's quite
beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
Beautiful.
With that, we are running out of time, so
we have a
apologies.
question.
And if anyone would like to ask questions to anyone on the panel,
Here we go.
about the film, right there.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Wow, that's loud. Steven, first of all, I don't know what you can't do. You're impressive. For the actors, I know, Juliana, you touched on this a little bit, how you're by yourself and it's freeing in the booth. But as an actor, isn't that weird that you have no one to respond to? You're like having conversations with nobody. Is that difficult? No?
Stephen poorly reads as the other character. So, like, he read as my girlfriend, yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
I'm a really good scene partner as well.
Yeah, I was shocked at how, because in my mind I was like, is this going to work, Steven? He's like, yeah. He's like, and Steven was sitting there, and when Steven and I recorded, you were literally like, we like made this makeshift recording booth at my office, and he was 2 feet from me, just looking at me.
Creepily.
Yeah, but it got me there.
Scary.
It got me where I needed to be to have that conversation. But it was something I worried about too. And then in the end, to watch it and be like, oh my, like it's amazing that it all came together and worked. And I didn't know that was possible. And it's beautiful. Yeah. Thank you.
My question is, from a directing and an acting standpoint, what was one piece of music or song that inspired you while making this?
Kokomo by the Beach Boys.
Very much.
Very much.
There you go.
I feel that.
My character was ex-military, and just coincidentally, I started listening to like army, like marching songs to work out to. And my husband, it's his least favorite thing. He's like, "What the?" listening to? It sounds like hell in here, but it really gets me going. So, yeah, like these army songs, just like there's no music, it's just marching and screaming, and that I listened to that on the way to shoot. So, yeah.
Gigi, what song did you listen to?
You're recording. Just again and again and again.
Perfect. Next question.
Hey, Steven, it's been a minute. Oh yeah, CryptTV ages ago. I was actually curious if all of our voice talent were aware of their character's aesthetic before they went into the vocal booth and how that might have affected their first takes.
You know, so this like we talked about, this is the first time that I've ever like really voice directed. I've been in live action for 20 years, and so what really kind of blew my mind about the entire process is how many of the voice talent, especially the bigger voice talent that I've done this a long time, showed up with absolutely no earthly idea what was going on. And you'd have someone walk in and be like, "Oh, cool, so what's happening? We're doing like a commercial today?" And it's like, "A commercial?" Like, "No, we're doing a movie." "Oh, movie? All right. What's going on?" What are we doing? What's happening? And I was just kind of like blown away. But I kind of find out that's like a common thing. Because I'm so used to working with actors that would be like, well, I want to learn my character. I want to prepare my character. I want to be in the right mindset. I want to know what my character's thinking. But voice actors don't think like that. Come to find out, they just kind of show up and they're like, "What do I sound like?" And I'm like, "Oh God." And that was definitely interesting. That was very interesting. So we ended up, when that happened for the first time, I was like, all right, well, now we got to be a lot more prepared. And so we'd print out like big pictures of the characters. And we're like, all right, you look like this, and you know, this is kind of what we want you to sound like. You're a mixture of this guy with this guy, and that kind of a thing. And so yeah, it was very interesting. I mean, everyone knocked it out of the park, and some of them, you know, you would try to find the voice a little bit to get it to the right place that you'd want it. But it is really interesting, and like Andre said, it's like trying to figure out how it's all going to piece together in your mind before you go into the booth. And we have some scenes where there'll be 10 characters talking in a conversation, and but I fell in love with it, completely fell in love with it. We really hope to do more. We hope to turn this into a series. That's the plan. It was originally a series. We shopped it, and then we ended up making the movie. And so now we want to try to launch from the movie and do a series because it's just so much fun.
Did some of the talent here or some of the talent that you worked with have strong reactions once they saw what their characters were? Like, I'm a
Spencer
what now?
had a really funny, going back to this love scene, Spencer had a really funny note. She came in, she's like, "Oh yeah, I read the script last night." I was like, "Oh, I have a love scene." "Oh, typical Wednesday." As a jellyfish.
Yes, yes. And then you said, well, you're a jellyfish. So
Yeah, and you're a
there's that.
jellyfish. Oh, great.
All the better. I'll put on my jellyfish hat. Any additional questions? We can take one more, but I think we are
Up. You got up.
We've got, we've got a mic for it.
Okay.
I'll repeat it.
So we don't have a home for it
The
yet.
question is, how can you see the film?
We don't. Yeah, we just launched promotion this week, and so now we have it out to studios and distributors, and hopefully we'll find a home for it really soon. But you can go to islamonstro.com and see all the updated information.
Also follow it on social media, Instagram, and you're on TikTok, right? Is it on TikTok?
Yeah, it's on the Tiki-Talkie.
Yeah, yeah. Follow it on social media, like any updates, Steven posted up there.
And if you follow them, they follow you back. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I felt special. I don't know.
The tactic.
The group shot. Okay, everybody say.
No, I'm just
No, I always want to say Isla because of the Jurassic Park movies. I know it's Isla.
No, it's grammatically incorrect. That's the whole joke. It's
Yeah.
not. They don't know how to speak Spanish in this movie, so
Keep
it's.
fighting with him on the title.
Oh, yeah, we'll get one with that.
Okay, well, hey, thank you all very much for all this.
Yeah, thank
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you guys so much.
Everybody.
Can we get a group selfie real quick?
Oh, yeah, let's get some group photos.